Hello, Gilford Public Library community. I am down here in the library kitchen. This is Molly. Today was originally planned to be a do-it-yourself botanical dyes and tie-dyes. Unfortunately, while trying to prep the botanical dyes this past weekend, I discovered that it is much more difficult than I thought it was going to be to do the botanical dyes. So if you're still interested in botanical fabric dyes, making your own dyes from home, send me a message, shoot us a message or comment here on Facebook, and I can give you a great list of resources and books that we have here at the library. But unfortunately, I was not able to make it work, so we're doing a little bit of a change of gears, and we are going to be doing some basic tie-dye designs and a walkthrough. So we've got a bunch of kind of miscellaneous fun colors here, and I'm going to show you how to do a couple of different designs, a couple of different patterns that you can make from home. So tie-dye kits are really fun. They're really easy to find. You can get some great colors. You can get some combinations of colors, even neon, a lot of different options. So tie-dye kits are a great way to go. So that's what we're going to be working on today. So instead of doing botanical dyes and tie-dye, we are doing straight up brightly colored dyes and tie-dye. So I am trying to stream this on my phone, so we'll see how things go. So I've got my station set up here. Back a little bit. So I have all of my dyes. Some of these are tulip one-step dyes. Some of them are other packaged commercial dyes. There's a couple of different types of tie-dyes that you can use. Tulip one-step is a really, really good one. Any one-step dye is really nice because the colors tend to be really vibrant and super bright. So we've got all kinds of fun different colors that we're going to be playing around with today. The difference between a one-step tie-dye and a regular dye is that with regular dyes you may have to pre-treat the fabric with something called soda ash, and that just helps as a fixative to make sure that that color stays to that fabric. So for anybody joining in, we are doing a do-it-yourself tie-dye instead of the botanical dyes today. I had a very difficult time making the botanical dyes, so we're going to go for full color and do some regular tie-dye patterns today. So the first step that you're going to want to do is prepare your surface. So I have a plastic table here. I covered it with a plastic tablecloth. I've got gloves. I have a lovely fabric apron from the children's room, and we're going to get started. So you're going to want to dye natural fiber fabric. So that's cottons, that's wools, but you want something that is going to be pretty durable. So I have some fun little t-shirts that I'm going to be working on today. So my niece and nephew are going to end up with some really nice, bright, colorful creations. You'll want to soak these items or wash them first, just to get any of the chemicals that may already be on them, get any detergents out. I soaked mine in warm water. Squeeze it until it's pretty dry. A little damp still is great, but a little bit damp. And I'm going to lay it out. First thing that you'll want to do is figure out what you want to do for a pattern. I'm going to start with just a classic spiral color. So I can lay my t-shirt out. I'm going to pinch right in the middle of the t-shirt and slowly start twisting the item around. You're going for little twisted bundles that we can then apply color to. Plenty of elastics here, so I'll get some nice skinny elastics. So you can see I've got a little bit of that twist and that spiral going in the middle. Use the elastics to divide this up into little sections, and we'll get that prepared. So that is for a classic spiral, kind of your traditional tie-dye with that nice coil in the middle. I'm going to get a couple of these wrapped up before we start applying dye, so they'll be ready to go. The next one, I'll take a nice t-shirt. It's been washed, it's a little bit damp. And I'm going to do some little sunburst patterns on this. So thinking about where I might want the placement of these, I might do one that starts at the shoulder. Get a bunch of little elastics here. And when you do a sunburst design, you're basically just doing segments, kind of like a caterpillar body. So you'll do segments along with the elastic. I'm thinking I might want mine to be symmetrical too. So if you want the design to be different on both sides, you can lay out your fabric just flat like this and kind of pick whatever areas you want to do a sunburst on. Otherwise, if you fold your t-shirt in half, you'll end up with more of a uniform design side to side. So starting out with the sunburst, I have my t-shirt folded in half, and I'm just going to start picking sections and portioning them out. So making those little caterpillar bodies, portioning them out, because what I'll do is eventually, when I apply the color, I'm going to apply different colors to each segment, so I get a really fun burst. And when you put the elastics on, you're going to want to go nice and tight. So the smaller elastics you have, the better, because that way you can get some really nice, small, detailed areas. Mine are a little bit long, but I'm just going to double them up. So to do the sunburst, come in here and do another little caterpillar body. Another segment here. And tie-dyeing, I think, is one of those things, it's really fun, it's really easy, and it's easy to do with kids. It's very safe, you can grab non-toxic dyes, and it's just a neat way to see how different colors will blend and mix together. Might do one more segment down here, and then I'll do a couple of smaller segments, maybe up around the body. Portion these out. And because tie-dye wants to sit as long as possible, what I'll be doing is I'm going to be doing the dyeing today, and then tomorrow, once the pieces have sit for a little while, I'll do another demo and I'll rinse them out and I'll show you what they look like once the color is set. So it's a little bit of a two-part program here. So I've got my first design there. I think I want to add a couple of other sunbursts. Maybe something on the sleeve to add some detail over here. And you can do as many or as few of these designs as you want. Do maybe another one on the side here. And again, making those elastics as tight as you can get them. And I think I'll do one more kind of up around the neck area. So you can really think about what you might want to do for placement, where you would want your design and patterns to be or not be. Any way you do it, you'll end up with a nice, bright, colorful t-shirt. So my original hope was to be able to do this program using the botanical dyes, but I had a lot of trouble making the botanical dyes this weekend. I could get them to do a little bit of a color, but then I couldn't get the color to stay. I don't know if my solution just wasn't strong enough or what the problem was, but it's a bit of a challenge. Definitely something I would love to try again in the future. And we have some wonderful books on botanical dyes that you can rent here at the library. Okay, so there's my second shirt. It's got a lot of these little different caterpillar segments, lots of different areas that I can apply that color to. I'll do one more over here just for the fun of it. And then on a bigger t-shirt, I'm going to show you another spiral. I think the spirals are probably one of my favorite designs. So I'll take a larger t-shirt here. So this is more of a me-size t-shirt. So I'm going to take it, lay it out nice and flat. This has been washed again. take my fingers and just pinch right in the middle, and then just start twisting around so you can see that spiral starting. You can kind of fold the rest of the fabric around here. But you can see how you've got that twist and got that spiral, and there's a certain way that we'll apply the color for different effects. I'm going to do one elastic around the outside to kind of hold it into that round shape. And then I'll do a few more elastics just kind of across it to portion it out in different ways. Now I'd say if you're interested in doing your own tie-dye from home, the best way that you're going to be able to get tie-dye color is going to be ordering it online. I tried going around to stores and ordering it the other day, and a lot of stores locally here are sold out, but you can order it online. There's a lot of different companies that offer tie-dye. So again, you just want to get that elastic as tight as you can. So what the elastic does is it's going to add a place of tension so that when you add the color is not going to show up as much where that elastic is. So you'll end up with some really nice white patterning there. So there's my second spiral. So I've got a nice rounded piece. It's in a lot of neat little sections already, so when I start applying the color, I may alternate. I'm going to do one more with an accordion fold that I think is pretty cool. I'm going to fold this shirt in half because I want it to be pretty similar side to side. And then I'm going to alternate, folding forward, folding back, folding forward, folding back, forward, back, forward, and back. So I just have a nice, neat little accordion fold. Grab some elastics here, and I'm going to put them and portion them out here. So this is an accordion fold. If you go on YouTube, there's tons of different workshops and different examples of other patterns you can do. There's certain ways you can fold it so that you get a smiley face in the middle of the t-shirt. There's a lot of different options. You can get those elastics as tight as you can. Most tie-dye kits do come with series and sets of elastics. If you don't have elastics at home, you can always use string or yarn and just tie it very, very tightly. Okay. So we've got 4 t-shirts here to get started on. I recommend using a rack, and you can place your item on top of the rack. That way you're not kind of working with this muddled mess of colors down below. I'm just going to tighten my elastics on this one a little bit. Maybe add one more. Then I'm going to just start applying color. So we'll shake it up really well. And you can just start pouring the color on. You may have to kind of hold it in the fabric to really get the color in there well. Let it soak in. This bottle says red, but I'm pretty sure it's green. We'll see what the final look is like. And you can see this is where it's handy to be working on a rack because all of that liquid comes out below and just kind of puddles. I'm going to add some yellow. So I'm really excited to see what these look like tomorrow when I unwrap them. You want to let your tie-dye sit for 6 to 8 hours. It's even better if it's overnight. The longer it has a chance to sit, the happier it'll be in the long run, because those colors really get a chance to soak in. We've got a nice bright blue. And I'm applying on the top and bottom because I want to make sure that the entire t-shirt gets plenty of color. So now I'll set this one aside. So when you're done with them, what you can do is you can set them aside and then wrap them up in a plastic bag or put them inside of a Ziploc baggie and let them sit overnight. Another fun thing is you don't have to do multiple colors. So this one that I did an accordion fold on, I think I'm just going to do all blue. So I've got a pretty tight accordion fold here. I'm going to start applying this blue, and I'm going to see what it looks like just doing one color. And I will mention, if you don't want your fingers to look like this, you will want to put gloves on. Alright, so I'm going to continue adding some more of this blue. And I'm just going to do a one color tie-dye on this one. You can do some fun things with tie-dye too, where instead of tying it, you can just lay it out in front of you and you can splatter paint it. You can put some tie-dye solution into little dishes and have kids paint with a paintbrush and do different patterns and designs that way. So there's a lot of different options as far as mixing it up a little bit. Alright, so this is another big t-shirt that I have, and I've got a lot of different segments here, so I'm going to try to do each segment a different color just to see how that turns out. So we'll start with this really pretty kind of aqua blue. The nice thing about kits too is that you can get kits that are just a couple of colors, like red, white, and blue for the 4th of July. You can also get kits with every color of the rainbow, bright neon colors, a lot of different options. This is a really nice red, so I'm thinking that red next to that aqua blue will look really nice. So tomorrow, probably around this time, I will do a reveal and show off what the shirts look like after they finish up sitting overnight. This is another red. It's a little softer than the previous one. It's always interesting to see what you think it's going to look like, and then by the time you finish up, it's usually something totally different. When you finish up these pieces too, so I'll let it sit overnight, and then in the morning, I'll take the rubber bands off carefully and then rinse it really, really well in cold water. Just sit there and just keep squeezing out all of the extra dye. It's going to be pretty muddy to begin with all of those colors washing out. But you just try to squeeze as much of that dye out as you can. After that, you can gently machine wash in cool water. I would try to put just your tie-dye in. You don't want to mix this in with your colors and other regular laundry right off the bat. You'll want it to go through the wash a couple of times. And depending on the dye, it may or may not bleed. Sometimes the dyes, if you don't use a fixative or if it's a cheaper dye, it may fade a little bit and then you get more of a washed out look. But I would recommend experimenting and trying some different things. I tend to buy t-shirts at the thrift store all the time. I try out different designs and different colors and see how it goes. So I'm almost done with this big t-shirt. So I've got a lot of different colors coming around. And I keep trying to squirt a lot of the dye into the t-shirt itself. I really want these layers pretty saturated. So eventually, if you were able to create your own botanical dyes, you could do this yourself with botanical dyes that you make at home. So some of the slightly more successful experiments I did this weekend with botanical dyes. I had a really nice yellow that came out from turmeric. You can use onion skins to make a yellow dye, purple cabbage, beets. There's a lot of herbs and different other materials out there that can do really beautiful colors. Like I said, I tried. I did not have much luck, but we do have a number of books here where you could learn how to make your own botanical dyes. And it could be the type of material I was using. If you tried it on raw wool, that may work better. For tie-dyeing itself, a cotton t-shirt and some commercial dyes and you'll be good to go. So I'm going to try, this is that Sunburst design that I did. So I'm going to do the different segments, different colors, and leave a little bit of white in the middle because I really want bright splashes of color. So I'll do some of these end points, maybe with this orangey yellow, towards the very end. And again, these will need to sit overnight, so join me tomorrow around 2 o'clock, and I'll do a little bit of a fun reveal and we can see how my little creations turned out. So I like doing these little segments because if you have a lot of different colors, you can mix a lot of colors and do like a rainbow design. You can alternate, but doing these little segments really is a lot of fun. If you're doing this with kids, another fun way to do this is to get the t-shirts all ready to go, get them segmented up, and then just let the kids go wild with the colors. And just have fun seeing what they can create. This t-shirt's going to be for my 4-year-old niece who loves the color red, so I'm adding plenty of red in here because I know that that's her favorite. Do a little bit around the base of these elastics. And this is where having wet fabric too is really going to help because it helps that color seep and bleed out. Where if your fabric was dry, it really wouldn't go much of anywhere. And I may do just a hint of green, or maybe blue. Hi, Maria! I can see you having fun making a bunch of these with the boys. Tie-dye is very, very fun, super easy. It's great for a hot summer day when you're just looking for something to do to get you outside. So I'm just kind of freehand adding some of this blue around the bases. I don't think I want to completely saturate the t-shirt. I think I want to leave some white for some contrast. But I'll add a little bit of this color in here. And that's going to be my Sunburst design. So I have more of the reds and pinks towards the ends of my little caterpillars that I have here. I've got some fun blending going on around the elastics. Maybe add a little bit more in here. And then I'm going to let this sit. One thing you really don't want to do is you don't want to go in and squeeze these and get all of those colors all mixed together. You can end up with a really muddy look that way. So I've got a couple more left. So I'm going to do a couple of these where I'm just going to bunch it. Kind of like we did with the Sunburst, but I'm going to crinkle it up, ball it up, and then throw that elastic on here. As tight as you can go. So this is a little bit more of a freehand way of doing it. I'll grab another area here, bunch it up, bundle it, and you can kind of crinkle it any way you like. This is very fun if you've got a bunch of different colors and you just kind of want to play around with it and see what happens. And the skinnier elastics you have, the better they work, because they're just leaving that really nice, thin, fine line of white. Alright, so this one, similar to the Sunburst, but a little bit more random. We're just going to do some random colors in here. I'll do a lot of greens, I think, on this one. Greens and blues, maybe. And you can see that the color does go everywhere, so you definitely want to make sure that you're working on a protected surface with a nice plastic tablecloth or something else down there so that you don't make a mess of your kitchen counter. This one I'm just kind of having fun with. I'm just kind of dripping it on here. Where it's crinkled, I have no idea how it's going to turn out. It's going to be very, very random, but pretty fun. And any of these extra areas, I'll throw a little bit of red in. So if you've done tie-dye before and you had issues with your colors getting really muddied, this is the point where you don't want to squeeze them, you just want to leave them apart as best you can. Okay, I've got one more t-shirt left here, so I think I'm going to kind of fold it in half and do some segments, and just kind of do some nice clean segments in between. A little alterating. This is really fun to do with socks or even napkins. You know, something small that you can try out a lot of different patterns with. So this one I'm just going to do a bunch of segments all the way down the t-shirt. The tighter you make the elastic, the tighter and brighter those white lines will be when you take your tie-dye out. A couple more little segments here. And if you have any questions about tie-dye, if you have any questions even about botanical dyes, just shoot me a message or send me a comment. And I'm happy to fill you in. I can send you some resources. This is a bit of an impromptu last-minute program change. But I'm pretty excited because these colors are going to be nice and bright. almost done with the segments here. I really liked how some of those reds and oranges turned out, so I'm going to do a little bit of a gradient, I think, on this one. I've done this before with a full rainbow before, so starting at the top of the t-shirt and going all the way down and just doing every color of the rainbow. Sometimes a fun way to mix it up. I've got a little bit of excess dye everywhere. Since this is the last one, I'm just going to do it right down here because I'm not too worried about a mess. And then we're going to start out, I found a purple one I haven't tried yet, so maybe we'll do purple and go all the way down to blues and greens and see how that looks. So with this, I'm going to do each segment a different color, fully saturated. Sometimes the colors will change a little bit. They may bleed a little bit depending on how you do them. So it's always fun to see the end result. Just to keep these from mixing too much with each other. A lot of different reds here, so I may end up mixing a couple of these reds together, adding some blues, change it up a little bit. Just green. I'm going to do some green up into this one, just to change it. A little bit of a darker green. I have an extra pair of socks here too. I've been using to soak up some of that extra water and dye, so that'll be kind of fun to see what those turn out like. Start bringing some blue in here. Maybe we'll end with this color. Come back to some red. And there we have it. So here's our full rainbow with some really nice bright fun colors in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let all of this tie-dye sit overnight, and then around this time tomorrow I'm going to rinse them out with nice cold water and unwrap them, and I'll do a quick little video to show everyone what it looks like all finished up. So thank you for joining me today. This was supposed to be botanical dyes and tie-dyes, but botanicals didn't work out, so we're doing straight up tie-dyes. If you have any questions, just let me know, and I'd be happy to recommend a couple of different tie-dye kits and then let you know where you can track them down. So join me tomorrow and you can see what all of these pieces look like once they're unwrapped. Thanks, guys.